Cattle Battle.
Today's cattle battle focuses on preventing scours in the winter and spring-born calves, but the time to act is now, and we have had many reach out about preventing scours in their calves, and we've been bringing potential solutions. And it'll be here before you know it, calving season, and scours can be here before you know it as well. Now, we talk a few times a year with the team from Imogene Ingredients about Farmatan and getting Farmatan into the diet 60 to 90 days prior to calving to help with the prevention of scours, Clostridia, Coccidia. Paul Mitchell with Imogene Ingredients and Farmatan is with us. Paul, you've been traveling as we speak, so thanks for throwing those little earbuds in and visiting with us for a bit. Diving right into this, getting Farmatan into the cow's diet prior to calving, and give us the rundown and the recap, the how, the why, the when, all of it.
Yeah, if a guy is feeding feed wagon, TMR, 60 days works great. Free choice mineral, unless he's watching it really closely, we like to go a little bit longer towards the 90 days. That way, make sure everyone gets coverage. But normally, if it's a good intensive feeding from 60 days, with a preventative like this, Tigger, you're trying to get in front of multiple life cycles. So you have to respect the process. Trying to come in with even a heavy dose late is with a natural product. It's just not the way to do it.
We visit about 4, 5, 6 times a year at different key points, kind of in our life cycle in a year in the cattle business, right? And we always come back to this of, well, we should have done this, we should have done this, we should have done this. But, really now is kind of a key point to get that Farmatan into the diet. So to help with those potential problems that could come up, a year down the road in 2024, now is really the time that we have to start putting pen to paper and say, okay, if we want to start getting ahead here a little bit instead of, playing catch up, now's the time.
Well, it is. The source of infection for many, many calves is right on day one. They're wide open to absorb the large proteins from colostrum, and they're also wide open for everything else in that environment. And the main contact they're going to get is, manure off mother cow's teats, or manure from other cows that are infectious in the environment. So getting the herd as less as infectious as possible gives your calf every chance of not getting infected. And then every day that goes on, their own immunity improves to where they're better able to fight it, even if they do get exposed to it. Guys will often think, well, I did this and I did that, and then this happened. Well, with Cocci, for example, what you did in the previous 1 or 2 weeks didn't make one bit of difference. It's what happened on day 1 and day 2 when they were absorbing stuff, because you may not see that for 21 to 28 days with Cocci. So it could have been what happened 3 weeks ago is the question. So that's the important part. Yes, wet weather and things like that obviously bring more stress. And so what we've done there, Tigger, is try and coach folks to keep the Farmatan in the mineral to where the calves can get to it. And then you're extending that benefit out into that second and third month of age, when a lot of the Cocci stuff begins to really kick in. So the nice thing about with the Farmatan, there's a patent on it for Clostridia, so it'll do a heck of a job preventing that, and especially on naive calves over that first little while. E. coli, very effective against that. So you're really clearing out the cow a lot of those pathogens. And the big one that we've had great feedback from ranchers on is crypto. Going into herds that had traditionally very bad crypto problems, all of those things, if we can get that immune system good from the beginning. And the nice thing is, by feeding it to the cow, we see really good antibodies coming through in the colostrum. So you're also helping that passive transfer from the mother cow to the calf, as well as if the mother cow's immune system is in good shape, especially as you're getting into calving, that last trimester of gestation, that calf is being finished off by a healthy cow. And that's going to stand to his immune system as well.
So I got a question for you. We have not had Cocci problems at our place in many, many years, scours in many, many years. So am I still a candidate to at least consider the long-term benefits of Farmatan in that calf's health moving forward, especially when I say, well, gosh, Paul, I got to cut expenses here. I mean, it doesn't matter if bred heifers are selling for $2,500, what goes up must come down. And I got to watch the bottom line on this.
So when we started Tigger, if a guy could reduce his death loss by about 3%, he'd break even on the program. At today's prices, you're looking at 1%. So the payback keeps getting easier or better in terms of making that threshold. Where we see it come back for guys that don't necessarily have a big scour problem is in two areas. One is we get a very healthy calf and we get great thrive. And Dwayne Seabrus, nutritionist up in Aberdeen, he swears by the fact that his Farmatan herds are weaning heavier calves. He said he's got about 50,000 cows in his practice, and he's got just over 10,000 cows on Farmatan. He's like, those herds are consistently weaning a heavier calf. That's number one. And secondly, he's seeing a consistently higher breed back in those cows. And how that is happening is, and University of Minnesota did a big study in their dairy herd. We were able to bring down their somatic cell count quite aggressively by about 50% in about 60 days of usage. So somatic cell is a measure of dead white blood cells. It's a reflection of infection in the system. And so by using that dairy data, we know we're having a very good effect on the cow's immune system. And so there is long-term benefits to that. But I would be honest, in the short term, if a guy doesn't have a chronic problem, he may be better off putting Farmatan into his calf ration, calf creep, or using tubs with Farmatan in it. The likes of OLS now have both a breeder tub and a stress tub. And you could take a 100-pound tub with Farmatan in it, put it in your calf shelter area, and it'd be very good for them to kind of self-doctor in the springtime, especially if they get separated for a few days with a storm or anything like that.
So the big question is, how do we go about getting it, and how do we get it, say, in that tub form that we can start using it el pronto?
Get a hold of me. You can go to farmatan.com, farmatan.com. Contact your local OLS dealer, and many of the other tub companies will do it by request. So just get a hold of your feed man, talk to him about it. If him or her, call me if there's any challenge or any problem. But a lot of the big feed companies all have it in stock, and it's an approved feed ingredient. It's AFCO approved. It's got a long track record on it, and if it wasn't holding up, and I'll say one last thing. We just did a big study with Dean Hunt. He's a rancher in Gary, South Dakota, and we went through the K-State extension calculator with his operation over the last 4 years. And 4 years ago, he was losing money. His treatment rates were way higher than the average from K-State. His calves he was bringing to market was way lower, and his treatments were a lot higher, and his his bottom line profitability was far worse. He now has achieved the K-State. Even using this year's numbers, Dean is multiple percentage points above the K-State calculator on profitability, even with the investment of using Farmatan in his herd. So it does work out well, but guys just have to understand why they want to use it, and give us a call, and we'll be happy to walk you through the benefits of it.
Paul Mitchell with Farmatan. You can go to farmatan.com for more information. And as always, reach out to Beck and I at the Ranch It Up Radio Show, and we can get you in touch with Paul or any of his crew.